Very well. I will arrange it. Do you need a place to stay and rest? You seem to be extremely worn out and exhausted from your many fatigue points you took on the road. Hello and welcome back once again to Me, Myself, and I. I am, as always, your player, game master, and host, Trevor DeVal. Thank you so much for joining me here today. It's been a while since we have looked at Vale and Thrag and their adventures in the desert trying to stop the Lich Matzaroth, but we are back and we're going to continue on now. Hopefully finish up very soon. Maybe even today. Who can say? The dice will always tell. I'm not going to tell you all the changes that the system has gone through because they have been many and legion. But if you're interested in how the game works, you can always purchase it below at the link there. So, when last we left off, Vale and Thrag had gone to the burial spot of the Lich Matzaroth and discovered a few kind of fascinating things. Maybe they're lies, maybe they're not. Who can say? She doesn't know, but she has hope in her heart that perhaps by taking the power of the spirit mantle, as she has done, and wrapping the Lich's phylactery in it, and transferring the power to the phylactery, it will heal Matzaroth, so that when she reunites the phylactery with the Lich's body, which is currently in Ansherir, or on the way to the city of Ansherir, to the spot where the great portal will be opened at the conjunction of the stars, thereby allowing Matzaroth access to Norkarth, the eternal city, where he hopes to find the secret to his own death, because what he told her was that he was exhausted from all these thousands of years of not life, not unlife, not death, whatever he's in, he doesn't like it. So she is hoping that he is in fact telling the truth. Is he telling the truth? I don't know. I suspect not, and so does Vale. But in the meantime, she is going to proceed as though he is. Now, our chaos factor is going to remain at 8. I don't actually remember where it was from last time. It's been a long time since I ran a session, so I'm just going to kind of start fresh-ish. I'm going to start with the notes that I have currently, but we're going to close the thread, investigate the Lich's dream, because we successfully did that. We're going to have a new thread, get the phylactery to Ansherir before the great conjunction of the stars. Okay, so they have a long way to go, and they're no longer mounted because they lost a couple of their camels in the scorpion attack in the desert, so now they are on foot, but they've got a long way to go and they've got to move fast, because remember, not only does Vale have to get back to Ansherir before the conjunction of the stars, but she has to deal with the Lich before the portal back to Angavar closes. That is where she originally came from, at the fortress of the Order of the Purifying Flame. So she is running out of time, so they have got to move. So what this means is we're going to go into our travel rules. They're going to plan the route. Now, they could go south along the river again, but that's going to take too much time. In fact, I think Vale says to Watik, who is their guide, I need you to chart the quickest route back to Ansherir, even if that takes us directly across the desert sands. And in fact, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be basically a straight shot across the desert. That's going to be tough. They're going to be pushing it. They're going to be doing forced marches, and it's all rough terrain because it is the sweeping dunes and sands of the Red Wastes. So that's what they're going to do. Their route is planned. They can't make any travel lore rolls because they're in the middle of nowhere and nothing really applies here. Now, this place does count as a safe area, so they were able to rest and recover all of their resolve and knock off 3 fatigue. So they are fresh now, which is very important because they're not going to be fresh by the time they get back to Ansherir. As they set off the next morning through the receding waters of the flooded Tomb Valley, they come up out of the rocks and begin to make their way back down towards the desert floor. Watik is going to do his track roll. This is going to tell us how far they can go before an event befalls them and before they have to deal with a bunch of other stuff. All right, Watik, let us see as he guides us through the desert wastes with their soul camel. Here he goes, rolling on 80, which is 23. Well, okay, that's 2 SL. So what this means is they are going to go, well, not like basically his score, which is the tens digit of his skill, in hexes. So they're going to go 8 hexes across the desert. But they are pushing it, which means they're going 3 hexes per day. So because we round up, it's going to be 3 days by the time they get to the area of the next event. There is not much to see over the next 3 days. Sweeping Lawrence of Arabia type desert. We're talking massive giant dunes that stretch on for as far as the eye can see until the golden red shimmer of the sand meets the blue sky in the far horizon. There is nothing but heat and wind and sand that blows in their face and gets in every crevice of their clothing. Nobody is wounded, so we don't have to worry about infection or anything like that. But now the quartermaster is going to step up. And our quartermaster, I believe, is Thrag with his survival. He's pretty good at this. 70 with an expertise of 2, which means that the floor is 2, which means he gets a minimum of 2 SLs if he succeeds at all. Let's see how he does. This will help us out on the fatigue table roll if he succeeds, which he does with 35. So that's going to be +3 to that table. But it's -2 because every hex was desert, so that's rough terrain. But they did force march, so total is going to be -4 to this roll because of the numbers involved. So we take our D10, -4. This could get ugly. Oh, yeah, that's about as ugly as you can get. So if it's 1 or less, what that means is everybody takes 4 fatigue, but luckily they have the camel. So how it works is if they have food and water, mostly water in this case, they can actually reduce their rations die by a step to avoid taking 1 of those fatigue. So that's what they're gonna do. But they take 3 fatigue from that. Oh boy, that's pretty bad. The heat of the sun beating down on them. In fact, the only solace and respite that they get from this whole thing is the fact that they're able to consume great portions of water, which, reduces the fatigue somewhat. But now it is time for the event. Now, events don't have to be bad necessarily. It's going to depend on a few things. The very first thing I'm going to do is see if the scout sees anything up ahead, and our scout is Vale. She is also rolling on 70, no expertise, so she's pretty good at this. And she unfortunately will fail. Obviously, the blowing wind has blown sand in her eyes and affected her perception. They will get no bonus favor for this event. But let us see what the event is. The first thing I want to do is determine what the danger level is of the hex that they're in. There's many ways to do this, but I'm just going to determine it randomly, and it's going to be perilous. So there's a number of ways to generate events in the Broken Empires RPG. I'm going to jump down to our specific event types by hex danger table. The precarious event that Vale did not see coming is going to be... Oh, this is pretty good. This is pretty good, actually. Scenic moment. Whew. Type, detail, and possible effect. The type, 24. Celestial. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I know what this is before I even complete the roll. But let's see if there's anything else here. Sign of the past is the detail. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And the possible effect of this offers a safe place to rest. Okay, this is really good. So, as they are making their way through the desert, they would be traveling by night. That's the smarter thing to do. I think I established that right in episode 1. When they're traveling to the desert, they're traveling by night. So as they're about to hunker down for the day, as they're setting their tents and everything to ward off the heat of the day, the moon and stars are still in the sky. But what they have noticed every night leading up to this point is that the stars in the sky are slowly converging into one spot. This is a celestial phenomenon, known of course as the Great Conjunction. So the time is drawing near. Now, as Vale is looking up at those stars, can she derive some sense of hope from this? We know that she's on her way to Ansharir because she believes that there's a chance she might be able to save Sherilyn by being able to extract the last shard of her living soul from Montserrat once he dies. That is her hope. I'm going to give her a roll on ancient lore. Now, she's not particularly good at this, but she does talk to Thrag about this. Thrag, do you see the stars? They are aligning even now. What Montserrat said is correct. The Great Conjunction is nearly upon us. It is possible that he was not lying to us. Thrag just kind of folds his arms. He's clearly skeptical, and he signs to her because of course he's a mute. It is a fool who believes the words of a lich, Vale. I do not believe that you are a fool. What's more, my old friend, I believe that you are allowing your own emotions over your loss of Sherilyn to cloud your judgment, and I believe that it could spell our doom. I understand, Thrag. I will not walk blindly into the clutches of that villain. If he is right, then we might take some solace from this. Don't you think? So I think she's going to do an Ancient Lore roll with his help. She's going to roll with a slight bonus, not very good. This is not a great chance. She succeeded. Okay, great. So what I'm gonna do is that night, because she's able to sort of convince Thrag that maybe there is hope after all for the entire purpose of the Order, which is to get rid of the Scourge of Undeath. Even though Thrag doesn't 100% believe this, he is moved by her dedication, and I think that the both of them are able to recover 1 fatigue from that. All right, they will continue on. They are in the middle of nowhere. There is no possible way to get Travelor here, so instead, Watik, the guide, is going to give us another roll, and it's not great. It's not great, but it's okay. He didn't fail, and that's what counts. So they're able to go another 8 hexes before the event. Oh, they're so close. They're basically just a few miles north of the Jeweled River now, so Watik knows exactly where he's going. This is good, but the question is, how tiring was the journey? This is going to be on Thrag now. His endurance roll as the quartermaster, and he does pretty good. Again, this is featureless red wastes. This is nothing but endless miles of sand dunes. On our fatigue table, he's rolling D10 -4 again. And okay, well, that's a little better because they were pushing it. They were force marching this whole way. So everyone takes 2 fatigue. Again, I think they have to consume copious amounts of their supplies in order to reduce that to 1 fatigue, which they're going to do. We are going to roll for Vale now to see if she makes her perception, and this time she does with 5 SLs, which is really good. Again, because we don't know what this hex is, I'm just going to randomly determine it. Oh, it's neutral. Okay, so it's a neutral hex. I'm gonna go back down to the normal table here and see what the nature of the event is. Oh, well, this is good for them again, I think. Environmental boon. This is very good so far. They're getting extraordinarily lucky. The type. Edible plants or fruits. They come across probably edible cacti in the desert, but to what end? The source. Oh, intelligent influence or interference. Somebody planted this. This is like somebody's desert garden. Oh, interesting. So somebody's out here. Could it be nomads, desert barbarians? Could it be something else? I don't know. But let's see what the potential results of this are. Efficient travel. Oh, that's exactly what I think it is. I think it is a small desert orchard with a tiny little oasis, and I think it's like a way station. Yeah, for travel. So it's a way station that local desert nomads use. Everybody can do a nature-wise roll, and if they succeed overall, they don't have to do very well. They've only got to get a number of SLs, we'll say 3. And if they succeed, then they'll be able to harvest some of those fruits successfully, because it's this weird kind of desert fruit where if you cut it at the wrong, angle or something like that, it basically emits some sort of toxin, because it's the desert. It's like Australia. Everything's trying to kill ya. Vale is going to do an HY. She's really not good at this. No, she will definitely not have any idea of how to harvest this thing as they're looking at this. Thrag is at 40. He will also not be able to do it. Watik will be able to do it as well. I'm gonna give him a 50 on nature-wise. Okay, well, he is able to actually harvest some of these fruits, which again, I think what it's gonna do, it's gonna provide them a bonus on their next fatigue roll. But they're able to harvest a couple that they can sort of feast on, and that's gonna ease their passage a little bit. They're pretty much guaranteed to get into Ansharir on this next roll, unless something goes catastrophically wrong, but I can't really see what that would be. As long as Watik makes this roll, they're gonna get into Ansharir. They'll still have to do a fatigue roll, but let us see what's going on here with Watik. He is able to do it, and so they're going to be able to get in no problem. However, we still do have to do the fatigue roll. They were still pushing. It's going to be another 2 days before they get to Ansharir. Thrag gets to do his. Okay, well, that's +1. They're going to have +2 on that. It's 5. So it's going to be -2 all in on the fatigue roll. Oh my God. And of course, it's exhausting. 4 fatigue all around, but again, they just burn through their rations. This is It was really bad. They're down to D6s now. That means they only take 3. Oh, this is really bad. 3 fatigue each. They've taken 6 in total. But there is no event when they get to the city. That's an option the GM has, and I'm going to exercise that option now. So they get there 3 nights later because they are traveling by night. So I'm going to say that it's like the middle of the night on their 3rd day from that last stop. Yeah, it's the middle of the night. So when they come to the gates of the city are probably shut. So they'll have to wait until dawn in order to get into the city, unless they want to unless Vale wants to sort of steal over the walls. I think she's going to want to do that because she wants to get in touch with General Bengara. Remember that she had sort of befriended him and convinced him of the worthiness of her cause, and he also now believes that this creature or something is possessing the vizier and he wants his city back. She basically says to Thrag and Watik, stay here and wait until dawn. I'm going to enter the city myself and try and make contact with General Bengara. Meet me at the inn, whatever inn they were staying at. It was like the Grinning Scorpion or something. I can't remember, and I don't want to look it up, but we'll assume that's what it was. All right, so she makes her way to a secluded part of the city wall. This is going to be tough to get over, but I'm gonna ask a few things about the fate chart. But before we actually do that, they have technically arrived now. So let us end that scene. So we update. There's no new characters. The new threads. Well, we did get to the city, but we haven't got the phylactery to the Lich yet. I am going to add the thread, find General Bengara, and the chaos factor I think is going to go down to 7 because they were surprisingly largely in control in that whole scene, which is amazing. All right, so she is going to try and find a way across the wall. So I'm going to go to our fate chart now and ask a question. What are the odds that she's able to find a relatively unguarded part of the wall that is going to allow access? This is a pretty well-defended city, mostly because of the size and construction of the walls rather than like a whole bunch of guards everywhere. Now, remember though, one of the threads is to evade the vizier's patrols. Technically speaking, the vizier is still, as far as she knows, the vizier's patrols are still out looking for her. But now she has reason to question that, because if in fact the vizier is in the control of the Lich, Matzaroth, then perhaps Matzaroth has called off the guards. But that would mean trusting Matzaroth to his word, and she's not quite ready to do that yet. So I think it is 50-50 that she is able to find a relatively undefended part of the wall that she might be able to get up and over without consequence. Here we go. This is Chaos Factor 7, and the answer is yes, she is able to do that, but it's not an extreme yes, so it's not an automatic success or anything like that. She's able to skirt the southern wall for quite a while, several hundred yards, I think, until finally she finds like there's a series of rocks and like a broken down palm tree that she's able to scurry up and give her a little bit of height advantage to be able to get onto that wall and clamber over the upper crenellations of the top part of the wall. This is gonna be an athletics roll, and it's the middle of the night, and it is relatively undefended, so she doesn't have to do stealth at this point. Let's just see if she can actually get over it without incident. Unfortunately, she is unable to get over the wall here. So here's what's going to happen. I'm actually going to invoke the success with a cost rule, because it makes sense that she would, she's got all the time in the world. Well, she has a lot of time to deal with this. She is going to get over the wall, but I think that the cost is when she gets over the wall. I said this was a relatively undefended section of wall, but it is not entirely undefended. So when she clambers over the wall, I think coming down the walkway of the upper walkway area of the wall is a city guard. Now, I don't know if this is one of the patrols of the vizier or just a city guard, but she sees him, and immediately she has to do an opposed stealth against his perception to see if she is spotted by this guy. So her stealth is really good. 80 with an expertise of 3, which means that she has a minimum of 3 SLs, which is good, which she's gonna, well, actually, no, that's a critical success. So she succeeded with 4 SLs, and he's rolling on 50, and he fails. So she is able to immediately leap to a shadowy guard building on top of the wall and hunker down behind a bunch of barrels filled with pitch for them to be able to dip their arrows into for flaming arrows against invaders or something like that. So she's able to sort of hide behind that as the guard walks by. I think at one point the guard kind of, he thought he saw something in the shadows, but he pokes his head into the little guard outpost sort of building on top of the wall and looks around and nothing here, and goes back on his merry way. So she is able able to clamber down the ladders into the city itself and make her way to the general's residence. Does she get there without anything further accosting her? I think that's very likely. In fact, gonna ask the fate chart. 23 is a regular success. So yes, after probably takes about half an hour to stealth her way through the darkened night streets of Ansharir until she arrives at the general's manse. Now, he obviously is going to have guards, but those guards are aware of her. She has been here before, and they know who she is. So she goes up to the guards and reveals herself to them. I'm here to see the general. It is most urgent. You know me, don't you? And the guard kind of looks at her and recognizes her and, yes, of course, this way. And they lead her into the mansion. Now, he is asleep, but the guards go up and they rouse him, and a few moments later, he comes down sort of in his richly decorated nightgown, basically. He comes down the large stone steps, I think to a little courtyard outside of his main building structure, and I think there's like a burbling fountain there as well. It's very pleasant as the night birds are singing and the stars are swirling in the sky above, getting even closer as that great conjunction is imminent. In fact, I think that the great conjunction is going to happen tomorrow night because we are here racing towards the climax. So, Vale, you have returned. Oh, thank the gods. Tell me, what have you learned about the Vizier and this creature that you have been hunting? I have reason to believe that the creature known as Montserrat is here in the city now. His servants have brought him in from the outer desert. He intends to open a portal to a place called Norkarth. It does not exist in our world, but the entrance to that portal is the entrance to the Vizier's palace. That explains why the Vizier had strange sigils crafted and carved into the stone, arches over the main entranceway. It was some sort of sorcery? As far as I can tell, yes. Tomorrow night, the stars will align in such a way as to cause what the astronomers call a great conjunction. It is at this time that Montserrat wishes to be reunited with his phylactery, his container of his soul stuff. I have it with me. Ah, so this is how you will destroy the creature. If you have the phylactery, then you could shatter it now and end this scourge once and for all. I'm afraid it is not quite as easy as that, General. There are other things in play, things that I will not waste your time trying to explain. I do not trust the creature entirely, of course, but there may be a way for me to benefit from his actions tomorrow night. I need your help. Of course. Although I confess I am uneasy with you allowing this creature to continue existing if you even now have the means to destroy it. She needs to actually convince him that her plan has merit. General, I know that this sounds mad. But if I do not see this through to the end with this creature, Montserrat, there might be even greater dangers posed to you and your city. But if I am allowed to enact my plan, we could not only rid this world of the scourge of Montserrat, but we will most assuredly break the Vizier free of his domination. I think that's probably a protocol role in this case, which she's not great at, but she is going to give it a shot. Oh, and she succeeded with 1 SL, but she did succeed. Well, I admit I am uncomfortable with this, but you know more about this situation than I do. What can I do to help? I need you to assemble your men. I do not think that it will come to violence, but I need you to be ready. Tomorrow night, the Great Conjunction, the Lich will no doubt have himself delivered to the gates. I intend to be there as well. But I cannot approach the gates openly, not while the Vizier's men are still looking for me, and I do not know if they are still looking for me, but I can't take the chance that they are. I need you and your men to be nearby, waiting for a signal, just in case something goes decidedly wrong. Of course, and what would the signal be? You'll know it when you see it. Is she gonna do this? Maybe. Have your men standing by in the shadows of the nearby alleys, and when it is time to act, if there is a time to act, you will know it. Very well. I will arrange it. Do you need a place to stay and rest? You seem to be extremely worn out and exhausted from your many fatigue points you took on the road. Yes, when the dawn comes, I will have Thrag and Watik Yorbera, who, by the way, was the difference between life and death. Thank you so much for him. I will have the two of them report here to the mansion, if that's all right. Yes, of course. There is a guest house near the back entrance that you can use to rest during the day and make what preparations you need. So that is, in fact, what they do. When the dawn comes, she steals her way back to the main gates. Thrag and Watik enter the city, so they're able to get all the way through the city the next morning back to the general's sort of guest house in the back, and they're able to rest through that day. Great. So that's the end of that scene. There is no updating character lists. We will get rid of Consult the General, and I think going into the next scene, I think that the way this new scene starts is they have rested, and this is definitely a safe place, and the good news is, because of that, they're able to rid themselves of 3 fatigue. Thrag and Vale are going to make their way before sunset to the central square outside the Vizier's palace, where we have seen this before. We've been here before. This is where the Silent Death Assassins attacked her in the street all those episodes ago, and she's going to wait and see what transpires. So I guess what we have to ask now is, well, first of all, the chaos factor. I'm going to leave it at 7 for now, because I don't really think the last scene counts as a complete scene for the purposes of chaos. So I'm going to leave it at 7 because I'm playing fast and loose with these mythic rules. But I am going to see if the scene is altered or interrupted as they make their way the next evening, having refreshed themselves and sharpened their blades and made what preparations they needed to. Rolling against the chaos. And of course, there is an interrupt scene. There is an interrupt scene on the way, presumably. What is that interrupt scene? 36. NPC action. Okay. Who is the NPC? 7. It's going to be 2. Aha! Montserrat, the Lich. Okay, what's the Lich going to do? This is an interrupt scene. This is NPC action. NPC takes action. 94, travel. So far that makes sense based on what I have in mind. 09, building, travel building. Okay, so, all right, I got it. So, her and Thrag are stealing their way through the streets. They are just about to get to the outer square when they see, it seems that the Lich and his cohort has arrived before them. Travel building, travel to the building that he was going to. This is in fact the interrupt scene. Let's get some meaning tables descriptors to get a little more information about this interrupt scene. 82, description, politely. And old. Politely and old is this a descriptor? Oh, okay. I wanna envision what this is. So they're almost at the square when they look, and they can see in front of the great stone arch of the entrance to the Vizier's palace. They can see that there's been like this cart that's been drawn up. There's this large wooden, it looks like a coffin almost, but much bigger than a coffin. Almost like a crate you would put say sarcophagus in, and it's been propped up in this cart, and there's a number of desert nomads, it looks like, desert barbarians. Maybe these are the servants of Montserrat, it's hard to see, but there's kind of like, I don't know, there's like 20 of them, and they're sort of, they're kind of crawling around the cart, doing various things. One of them is going up to the cart, and he's anointing the crate with some sort of oils and unguents. Another one is sort of like on his knees, like in sort of a worshipful prayer, chanting strange words. It's all quite strange, but here's the thing. The Vizier's guards are also there, and these Vizier's guards are in fact waiting politely, as though they do not want to interfere with this situation whatsoever. So, this is not entirely unexpected, because she did kind of think that she did know that the Lich was on his way, but she doesn't see him. She sees this crate. She has to assume that this crate is in fact containing Montserrat. I think that, in fact, the Lich is here. And I think that these servants have brought the Lich here on the evening of the Great Conjunction, just as he said. And I think they are going to pry open that crate and reveal the sarcophagus so that we could take the next steps. But you know what? You never know if that's going to be the case. So let's ask the fate chart, shall we? I think that this is likely, in fact, the situation, and it is 100 extreme. No, that is not what they're going to do whatsoever. So this is not going to play out the way that she thought, or perhaps, because that is a 100, it's extreme no. I think this is not going to play out the way that she hoped. That is very, very bad news for her, because what this means is what she had hoped to happen is not going to happen because, of course, we rolled a 100. What she hoped to happen is that this was going to play out the way that the Lich said, but it's not. It is not going to play out that way. The servants begin to pry open that crate, revealing this golden and blue painted sarcophagus within. It's this regal looking thing. It's like, it's clearly of ancient construction, but it is still gleaming and golden as brightly as the day it was crafted. So it was almost like this thing has some sort of protective barrier around it or something that prevents it from aging and decomposing over the course of time, much as its supposed inhabitant. It's not what she hoped, so what does that mean to me? What does that mean to me? I was going to ask the fate chart all kinds of things about whether the Lich was telling the truth, if so, how much of it was true, and all that good stuff, but this roll tells me everything I need to know, or at least it sets me off on a particular track, which it's not good for Vale. All right, they see this happening, and one of the nomads who is participating in this apparent ritual of some sort, again, the guards doing nothing, in fact, they're just standing there staring straight ahead. They're not even showing any interest at all into what's going on down here, so clearly there's something going on where perhaps they're under the control of somebody, who knows what. But this dude here is continuing to chant, and his voice rises until it reaches this crescendo of almost like religious ecstasy and fervor. And at that moment, the sarcophagus lid opens, it swings open, revealing a figure inside, and that figure looks to Vale's eyes immediately as she sees this like some sort of desiccated prince is what she sees. And as she sees this, remember, this is just as the sun is setting now and the stars, the great conjunction of the stars are about to come out overhead. She sees this, and yes, she recognizes, yes, that is the face. It is a mummified face, but that is the face of a young, attractive man who she saw in the Lich's dream, and now she knows beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is in fact the body of Montserrat. And as the sarcophagus lid opens, the eyes flare up, all solid, sickly green, and the body begins to stir, and as it does, it begins to take on this grandeur. There's almost like this glamour surrounding the body that seems to spread out and emanate in waves from the sarcophagus, affecting, well, perhaps seemingly everybody, but certainly affecting Vale and Thrag. And what they see now, whether this is real, whether this is an actual transformation, or whether this is some sort of magical glamour, what they see is this regal figure rise out of the sarcophagus and stand towering over the congregation. This figure has the bearing of some ancient prince. There is the earthly body, the not quite undead body of Montserrat, the Lich, or the quasi-Lich. At that moment, I think, because she has the spirit mantle with her and she has the phylactery with her, I think it is extraordinarily likely, near certain, that Montserrat is aware of her presence. I'm going to roll it now. 94 and 95. It's still a yes, but she almost got away with not being noticed. But he turns his princely and regal, yet obviously somewhat undead head towards her, and the eyes glow even brighter, and he extends his hand, and he says with a voice that seems like it's part the sound of bones being ground into dust and ancient leaves being crushed into powder, and yet it still carries this unearthly authority with it. You have arrived. Come forward and reunite my body with the phylactery, and I will open the portal to Norkarth, and together you and I will step through. Come. Now, we know, because of that roll, that something ain't right, but she is so consumed with this hope, she is going to get an insight, and in fact, as she is about to step forward, Thrag puts his arm out and looks at her and shakes his head. So she is going to get the benefit of his insight on this. You know what? She's going to actually spend resolve. She's not very good at this. She's going to spend 2 points of resolve, so she's gonna get plus 20 to this, so she's not, this is on 60. Is she able to do it on 60? She is, with 5 SLs. So she's able only because she exerted her resolve on this, and with the help of Thrag, who, as I said, looks at her and shakes his head as if to say, do not do this. And she looks, and she's about to step forward, she looks at Thrag, and she looks down at him, and she kind of steels her face and gives him just the tiniest nod, as if to say that, message received. Not so fast, Mazzaroth. Before you take one more step towards opening this portal, I need collateral to prove that you will not betray me once you open this thing. Betray you? Why would I do that, sweet Vale? I need you, and the power of Sherilyn Spiritbane, which, I remind you, still lives within this body. Help me free her, Vale. Give me the phylactery. She pulls out the spirit mantle. The spirit mantle, which is drained. She did transfer the power of Sherilyn Spiritbane from the spirit mantle, the thing she was going to use to put the Lich back to sleep, or destroy him if she could. She transferred that power into this lamp. But did she hold something back? Does she have some sort of ace up her sleeve? She's pretty smart. She wouldn't be trusting this guy entirely. She's got to have something. I just don't know what that is. So, if in fact he is this villain that the 100 roll seems to indicate that he is he going to do the classic thing now of allowing his own ego and pride to get in the way of his own plans? Is in fact Mazzaroth, in this very moment, going to succumb to the classic villainous mistake by revealing his plans to his intended prey? Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I'm gonna ask the chart, and I'm gonna call it 50-50. We are on Chaos Factor 7. 0-3. Extreme. Yes, extreme, yes. As Vale stands there holding the spirit mantle in one hand and the phylactery, the lamp, in the other. Give me something, Mazzaroth, to prove that you are not the villain that I think you are. He looks at her. A look of disappointment coming over his withered, desiccated face. And then he begins to laugh. Foolish girl. You have stepped into your own doom, and you don't even know it yet. And at this point, Thrag tenses. He completely tenses. He knew it! Did you really think that I would entrust my phylactery to you? Oh, Vale. What you hold in your hand, that lamp, is nothing more than a bauble. And now you have wasted the power of the spirit mantle and drained it of the last of Sherilyn Spiritbane's essence. You have squandered your last chance of defeating me. Now Vale, in this moment, is not entirely shocked. There is a part of her that was blinded by her need, her desperation to try and grasp at any flimsy straw of hope that might bring Sherilyn back. This is her flaw. This has always been her flaw. It fueled her through all of Season 3, and now it continues, up to this very moment, to be the one thing that clouded her judgment. And now the spirit mantle is no longer the weapon that she thought it was. It is drained of her power, and as she looks at it, she can see the shimmer is utterly spent. And now she holds this useless lamp in her hand. You lying monster. Tell me then, if you have any truth in you. Was any part of your story true? Any of it? Of course it was, my child. The shard of Sherilyn Spiritbane's soul does exist within me. What you saw in the vision is true. The last existing fragment of Sherilyn's spirit-bane's soul is lodged within me. It was the very thing that she used to put me into a slumber. She knew she could not destroy me in this world, so the best she could do is sacrifice a tiny part of her own soul to keep me asleep. But now, her spirit is gone, and the hold that she had on me crumbles. And now Motzeroth, greatest lich in the history of the Broken Empires, is awake. And he turns and begins to chant the words that begin to cause the strange sigils etched into the stone around the entrance to glow with this sickly green radiance. And at this moment, Vale and Thrag are about to leap towards him as they go to grab their weapons, but I think it is extremely likely that he is prepared for this. Is there some sort of magic that immobilizes them, that roots them in place? I'm going to ask the fate chart. Yes, I think it is likely. And we roll with an 85, and we roll, yes, a 39 is a yes. As they're about to move, he doesn't even turn. He just flicks his hand back like this, and then just ever so slightly squeezes his fingers together, and the two of them are rooted to the spot, unless they can make a resistance roll against this. Ooh, this is gonna be tough. So how this gonna work is, I'm going to roll his skill. He is unbelievably skilled. He's unbelievably skilled. He's gonna be rolling on a skill of essentially 100. He can't fail unless he rolls 99 or 100. And he has an expertise of 4, which means he rolls at least 4 SLs. This is going to be ugly, no doubt. 48 is the roll they must use to resist against. This is going to be a willpower roll. Vale is quite good at this. She's rolling on 70. 71! She fails! She fails! What about Thrag? What about Thrag? What about Thrag? He did this only 35, and it's 46! They both fail as they're about to, filled with rage. She's still got the spirit mantle and this lamp in her hand. She's about to drop one of them and pull a weapon. Thrag definitely, grabs his axe, but as they're about to move forward, as I said, he puts his hand up, his desiccated, withered claw of a hand, and just does this, and they're stopped. They're rooted in place. They cannot move from where they are. Now, bear witness to the opening of the portal to Norkarth, where I will claim what is rightfully mine, my lichdom. But worry not, dear girl, because you will be coming with me. And at this moment, these servants all kind of turn around, and some of the guards begin to slowly zombie-like move towards her. After all, who better to replace my bodyguard than the one who slew him? You will become my new Death Knight. And he turns and again begins to chant as these two are struggling against their immobilization as these guards begin to move forward. Will they be able to break free of their bonds before they're dragged before the Lich as the portal begins to open? We'll have to find out next time on the next episode of Me, Myself, and I. Thank you so much for joining me, and if you do enjoy what I do, please consider hitting like and subscribe and even supporting us on Patreon or on the YouTube channel memberships. All the good stuff is below. Thank you, and we will see you next time for what I presume will be the finale of Season 4 Legacy.